As a child, I was shy and deathly afraid of public speaking. One year I was in a holiday program where one by one, each student said a speech. Now I'm sure my parents were in the room waiting in excitement to see me say those few words. When the spotlight was on me, everyone waited intently for me to speak. My parents at the edge of their seats, but with the mic to my mouth, no words would come out. Now let's fast forward 20 years or so, and anyone who knows me is still probably surprised by my standing before you today. I'm surprised myself. How did I get here? How am I standing before your eyes, living out a dream that was once my biggest nightmare? Before coming to TC, I thought I was just going to learn how to be a counselor. I soon found out that I had to learn a lot about myself before I could help anyone else. The work we all do in our respective careers demands self-awareness and empowerment, which includes looking at the power and oppression that comes with each of our identities. We too must be aware of the privilege we now have as TC graduates. It can be a badge of honor, but it can also be a barrier to those we wish to serve if we're not attuned to some of the meanings that are associated with it. Now, countless times we may have heard people say, "Do as I say and not as I do." I know there might be some parents who are sinking in their chairs right now because that might be an effective strategy to get children to eat their vegetables. But as professionals, we need to stand for what we believe in, and we need to practice what we preach. We need to embody the spirit and legacy of TC and its commitment to multiculturalism and its contribution to research and practice that recognizes the potential of all people to be great if they have access to resources, knowledge, choices, and support to nurture those talents. Some children are fascinated by action heroes like Superman, Spider-Man, and Power Rangers. I'm sure my nephew can show you a couple of cool moves after the ceremony, but what is a hero really? The ones outside of the Hollywood studios. Heroes are people who believe strongly in a cause and fight valiantly for what they represent. They are people who don't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk. Heroes embody the change that they profess. On this day, May 17th, in 1954, the Supreme Court handed down the Brown versus Board of Education decision ending segregation in schools. It began with people who believed in their right to have equal access to quality education, and these heroes stood up for that right. As I mentioned in my opening, I've always had a difficult time with public speaking, but despite my reservations, there was something deep inside of me that needed to be here. And don't worry, Mom and Dad, you don't have to rush to the front to save me this time, because that holiday program was just not my time. But it did set the stage for future challenges. I always wondered what it was that I admired about people I saw on TV. I realized that, among other things, I was drawn to these people because I saw them as brave. I admired their ability to step out in front of audiences with the possibility of being judged and criticized. I too wished that I could be courageous just like them. But back then I had this belief that being brave meant being fearless, which exempt me from that category because I had so many fears. Now I realize that bravery, it's not being without fear. It's actually the opposite. Courage is having fear, but doing something despite that fear. Being brave is not letting fear keep you back from acting on something you believe. Sometimes that means doing something radically different, like those who put their heart and soul into fighting for a right that made it possible for me to even stand before you today. Sometimes we see things we don't like. We're really good at complaining, but often let fear keep us from doing something because we don't want to stand alone. TC has been a nurturing experience because it challenged my fears. In the movie Aladdin, one of the characters talked about a diamond in the rough. There were people here who looked beyond my shy and timid demeanor and recognized the jewel in me. The jewel that each and every one of us possess if only people really saw us. Despite the times I doubted my own abilities, I persevered because these people helped me recognize that on the other side, there was this evolved me that I always wanted to be. As we have seen with the landmark Brown versus Board of Education decision and so many other social movements, change is infectious. And it can start with just one person who believes in something so much that they dare to be different. It is clear. Change starts with you and me. I challenge you to be the living example of what it is you believe. I challenge you, as Mahatma Gandhi said, to be the change in the world you wish to see. Thank you.